Apple is currently working on iOS 17.2 and it's just around the corner. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at what's new and what you can expect to see in iOS 17.2 when it does get released. Before we get started, I have an entire video on all the new changes coming to Apple Music in iOS 17.2, so if you guys want to check that out, you can check in the cards in the top right hand corner, or I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Jumping right into the video, the first major change we're getting in iOS 17.2 is the introduction of the Journal app. Apple originally mentioned this back in WWDC, but it wasn't released with iOS 17 or 17.1, but now we're finally seeing it in iOS 17.2. Inside the Journal application, you can start writing entries right away. It's actually a very easy application to use. There's a little plus button at the bottom and you can just press that and you're going to be able to access Apple's recommended post as well as what you want to do as a new entry as well. As part of their recommended post, they're going to give you options based on your camera roll, the music you're listening to, or even the podcast that you're listening to. Now, if you're like me, you're most likely going to forget to open this application to write in a journal entry. Now, they do have an option of scheduling some reminders, so you can have that throughout the week at a specific time, and at that time, it will remind you to write a new entry for your journal. Next, we're getting spatial video recording in iOS 17.2. So now when you open up the camera, there's going to be a little icon that has the vision icon on it, and once you click on that, you can actually start recording in spatial video. Apple originally mentioned this in the iPhone 15 event and said that we're getting it later this year, and it should be coming in iOS 17.2. So when the Vision headset does release next year, you can start viewing these videos on your Vision headset. To turn on the settings, you have to go into the settings application, go all the way down to the camera application, and inside there's going to be an option for formats. Once you click on that, you can scroll down and there's going to be an option for spatial video for Apple Vision Pro. Once you turn that on, you're going to get that new icon in the camera application to start recording in spatial video. Next, in iOS 17.2, we're getting a new option for the action button. So now with the action button, you can have the option of doing translations. So once you hold onto the action button, it's going to automatically pop up this little translation window, which has a really nice animation, and it's automatically going to start listening and translating whatever you're listening to. I can see this being very useful for anyone traveling abroad and it's going to be a foreign language, and if they quickly want to have translations done on the spot, this is going to be a very easy way of having that done, and this is going to be using the action button on the iPhone 15 Pro and 15 Pro Max. Next, we're getting new weather widgets on iOS 17.2. So you can see right here, I have 3 new weather widgets. The first one is going to give you the weather as well as precipitation, wind, air quality, and what the weather actually feels like. The next one gives you a breakdown of the next 4 days, so you can see the current weather, you can see the next 4 days as well, the highs and lows, as well as a sunset and sunrise in the next widget. So these are new widgets that are coming to the weather application in iOS 17.2. On the topic of widgets, we're also getting a new digital clock widget in the clock application. So if you want to have a digital version of the clock instead of having the regular analog one, you now have that option in iOS 17.2. Next, we're getting some changes to the contact poster that was introduced in iOS 17. So now whenever you customize your contact poster and you want to customize the color of the name, you have a new option of having a rainbow effect. So once you customize the name and you want to customize the color, there's going to be a new option for a rainbow, and it's just going to give you this rainbow color for the name. So if you want to have more options, it's giving you an added option in iOS 17.2, which is introducing a rainbow text color for your contact poster. Next, we're getting a return of a nice little feature that we had back then. So when Apple Books first launched back then on the iPad, I used to have some PDF documents, and whenever I'm transitioning from one page to another, it had this really nice page animation like you're actually flipping through the book, which was a really cool animation, especially on the iPad. And for some reason, they got rid of this animation in some later updates, and now in iOS 17.2, Apple is finally bringing that back. And you can see on my iPhone right here, it's going to give you this nice little page animation whenever you're flipping through one page to another. It also works when you're going back a few pages. It's a really cool animation to have in the Apple Books, and I know this is going to look really cool on the iPad because that's where mainly people are going to be reading books, but this is a nice little feature that's coming back in iOS 17.2. Speaking of things coming back in iOS 17.2, Apple's bringing back a wallpaper it deleted. So now when you go into the lock screen customization and you scroll all the way down to the collections tab, there's going to be a new wallpaper that's coming back top, which if you scroll to the side is going to be this little dot wallpaper that's customizable by color. So if you had this wallpaper and you were a fan of it, you're finally getting it back in iOS 17.2. And that wraps it up for this video. Make sure to stay subscribed to the channel, or subscribe if you haven't. I'll be having a full video on iOS 17.2 when it officially drops, so stay tuned for that. Like this video, share this video. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.